All right, yay. Hello and welcome to Tapping Tuesday. My name is Fable, and for the next hour, we are going to do tapping together, otherwise known as emotional freedom techniques, EFT, this thing. That's what we're going to be doing. So if that's what you were expecting, you're in the right place. If you're not sure you're in the right place, it's a technique that's known to assist in resetting the nervous system, calming the body, releasing overwhelm and trauma. There's a lot of scientific backing for this, particularly with clinical EFT, which is what we do here at EFT Universe. We have a certification program for it. And we like to provide our community with this time to practice what we preach, right? So we get together with you and allow you to have a community while you expand on your own personal practice of tapping. There are a few what's the word I'm looking for? Not rules. I'll explain to you how this goes, and then we'll get right into it. It goes a little bit different than a one-on-one session because obviously I can't see you, I can't hear you. So when I make suggestions, I tend to go very, very general and vague, and then I offer to you how you might be able to make that a little bit more specific to you, because all of the healing, all of the shifting is going to happen in your own body and your own mind. So while I am here to guide you, to offer suggestions, I really want you to feel that permission of empowerment to be able to take it and make it a little bit more. Whatever you're feeling would be better for your body and your experience. Right in that same line of thought is the tapping sequence. So typically, we start here and we do the setup statement, and then there are people who start here and go all the way around, or at the top of the head and go all the way through all the tapping spots, and then over and over again. And that is great. That's fantastic. There's a reason why we teach it like that. All of those tapping points are really beneficial. However, all you need for an effective EFT session is one spot, and that has to do with what we are activating, which I'm not going to get into. This isn't a science lecture, but just know that as long as you're on an acupoint, one acupoint is enough. So for the sake of cadence, and maybe you wear glasses, maybe your head is hurting, maybe it's triggering for you to tap on certain tapping points. I tend to be really boring and stay either here or here the entire session. I don't tap through all the points very often because I want you to listen to your own body. So I want you to be tapping at whatever speed works for you, skipping the spots that don't work for you. I don't want you to look at me and go, oh no, I'm in the wrong place, and then pull yourself out of wherever that communication was happening for you. Okay. Um, if you want to participate, so all of our subjects on where we tap during this time come from our live chat, and it is active the entire time. I check back in on it periodically, and I try to incorporate as many of the suggestions as I can. But I really want you to feel heard and thought of, even if we don't get to tap specifically on what you want. And I will make suggestions on how you can adjust what we're tapping on if it's not something that directly correlates with what you're experiencing. If what you want is vulnerable to put out there on the internet, you can always email me. And that's also where you can ask me questions that I just don't take time to answer during this time, because we want to experience tapping. That's what this time is for. My email is up at the top of the chat if you want to see it. I will also speak it so you can hear it. It is Fable, FABLE, at EFTuniverse.com. And we can connect there. I can bring it up at EFTuniverse.com. And we can connect there. I can bring it up anonymously the following week so that you can still see how to process and tap through something. Now, having said that, I know I got 2 emails this week that I've chatted with 2 of you, and I'm trying to remember if we resolved it or if you wanted to tap on it today. So if I don't bring it up, I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit scatterbrained right now. And I'll go back and review the emails and bring it up the following week if I was supposed to. So there's that. All right, that is all of the business. I'm going to say hi in the chat. We'll take just a moment to get grounded and present, and then we'll go right into tapping. All righty. Hello, Donette. done it. I don't know why I say your name weird sometimes. I don't know why I do that. It's a surprise every time how I'm going to pronounce your name. But I'm glad you're here. Um, Hello, Kimberly in Ohio. Hi, Jackie. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Kimberly. See, fear is blocking my path forward. It's keeping me trapped in a corner. Can we tap to reduce anxiety from moving out of our comfort zone? Yes, thank you for that. Hi, Magenta. It says your message was retracted, which is fine. I just still want to say hello to you. Hi, Zarina. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Mary. My suggestion for today is making the physical body feel more settled. I'm experiencing lightheadedness and nerve pain. I'm very familiar with those sensations. Thank you for your suggestion. Hi, Nancy. Oh, there you are, Magenta. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Trisha. See, fear. Oh, just bounced. Fear leaving comfort zone. Fear in general. Yep, big stuff. Got it. Hi, Blast Scout. I'm glad you're here. Feeling major family stress and holiday angst. Yes, this time of year, there's always things that come up to of that nature, both family and holiday related stuff. So thank you for bringing that up. Hello, Cedric. Looking forward to another amazing session. Yay. Trisha, blocks known and unknown to take action might fit into leaving comfort zone. Yep, I agree with you. Hello, Joyce. Good to be here. Yeah, yes. Sunshine, hello. I've got alopecia. Is it possible to tap for healing? I'm going to answer this really fast. What I would say is if the cause of the alopecia has to do with stress, maybe an imbalance of hormones, there are a number of things that will biologically be affected by calming and toning the nervous system back to like the rest and digest side of things. Um, just tapping on alopecia isn't going to necessarily cure alopecia. But the positive benefits of tapping could support an environment to where the body could then again produce what you're looking for. So I hope that's a good enough answer. I'm sorry it's not better. Hi, Dr. Scott. Hi, Amanda Jane. Loss of anxiety. Okay. I feel like I have electricity surging through my body. Oof. I'm so sorry you're feeling that. We'll get to tapping really soon. Blocks, known and unknown is good. Famida? I hope I'm saying your name correctly. If you want to spell it out phonetically, I would do my very best to correct it and remember it. But I'm glad that you're here. Welcome. And you're feeling overwhelmed. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, Amanda. Okay, alopecia caused by huge stress and trauma when I was a teenager. Okay, so should I tap on those experiences? Yes, as long as it feels empowering, because that sounds like there's probably a lot to that, especially if you had that big of a physical manifestation of the stress in your body. It can be overwhelming just to start to approach. So what we look for with EFT is that empowerment, right? It's an empowering, traumatized. I have to push myself to go through something awful again so that I can let go of it. And that's not necessary. Okay. Tapping is very gentle, but it is extremely powerful. So I would say, let's see how this experience goes today. And maybe capture my email up at the top of the chat and email me, and we can chat more specifically about you in particular. Okay. Chat one on one. Alrighty, let's go ahead and ground and let's start tapping. All right. So let's just take a breath before we do anything else. Let's just take a breath as deep as it feels good to do, okay? And out. And just breathe normal. We're just letting that deep breath kind of course through. We don't want to make ourselves lightheaded. All right, let's go ahead and take another deep breath. And out. And we're going to ground in a roundabout way. Okay, this would be grounding in a way where maybe you don't feel safe to be in your body, but you're still able to ground and be in the present moment. So to do that, we're going to picture ourselves in a bubble. And I want this to feel positive. So if being trapped in a bubble sounds scary to you, Then another type of kind of like if you draw a line around you, it could just be you're wrapped up in a blanket maybe, or you've drawn a line of paint around the floor or chalk. If a bubble sounds fun and magical, perfect. That's the way it feels to me. So I like to do bubble. But some sort of I'm in here and everything else is out there is what we're looking for. So go ahead and determine what that is. And as you define that space of where you currently are, and there's a boundary between that and where everything else is. Just focus on that for a second and go ahead and take another breath. Breathe in and out. Now, as you are considering this boundary that you have, whether it's something you can physically see or something that you are imagining in your mind, I want you to give yourself permission to only focus on what is inside of that boundary. So if you're having a thought, if you're having a feeling, all of that, if it is outside of this space, we give ourselves permission to let it be completely outside of there and release it out of the body. And just feel, am I holding tension anywhere in my body because of feelings about something? Well, is that moment, is that person, is that circumstance inside of this bubble? No? Cool. It's now outside of the bubble. We can pick it back up later. We may still have to deal with it, but not right now, not this moment, because this moment is only what exists inside of this bubble. So let's notice what is in the bubble. Okay. We are in the bubble. So this body's in the bubble. Okay. Cool. Maybe what I'm sitting on or laying on or standing against, that's in the bubble. Okay. Not a whole lot else. Maybe a few colors or textures, but it's pretty empty in here. It's kind of just me. And I give myself permission to focus on this session only on the factors that are inside of this bubble. Let's take a breath. Let it out. Okay. And if it kind of worked and kind of didn't work, like things keep coming in, give yourself permission throughout the session to go, nope, that's outside of the bubble, and just push it, put it down, set it aside. Okay. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get to tapping. I know there were several options for anxiety. I'm going to scroll down and see. Is anyone else having trouble with my volume? Because Serena is having a struggle. Honestly, I don't know what I could do about it, but it would be good to know because then I can look into it. Hello, Tim. I'm just looking back through. I know fear, anxiety, feeling. I don't want to say overwhelmed because it's more specific, right? Of what everyone has expressed. It's more of a overly large responsibility, an overly large amount of responsibility, whether that's an obligation to self or obligation outwards. But it's just, I'm aware of all of this and it's bigger than me. So now what? Right? Okay. So, okay, I love you too. Thank you for being here. Alrighty. I'm going to say, let's tap on the words I'm responsible. Okay. Because there's so much behind that word, right? Responsible. So however that feels to you, and I'll wrap a lot of other language around it. And I give you permission to change any of the words that I say. If there's a better word for you to tap on, but there's a lot of stress and pressure right? Put on that word. So let's go ahead and start tapping. As I consider the effects that I feel, the effects that are happening to my body, in my mind, in my heart, when I think about everything that's connected to my responsibility, I choose to deeply and completely accept myself. Even though right now, if I really were to think about all of the things that I'm currently responsible for, it would put me in a really negative and overwhelmed state. I still choose right now to deeply and completely accept myself anyway. Even though right now, as I consider everything that I'm responsible for, everything that I'm holding, whether it's past, present, or future, and it's heavy, and I don't know what to do about it yet. I still choose right now to deeply accept myself anyway. My responsibility. My responsibility. Being responsible. My responsibility. Not my responsibility. Given to me anyway. Not my responsibility. But what can I do about it? As I as I consider all of these responsibilities in my life, I wonder if I were to have 10 months left in this lifetime, what what would I feel like I had to do before that time ended? Of all of these responsibilities, of all of this pressure, all of this anxiety, all of this fear, all of this task. If I only had 10 months, does that change anything? Yes. No. I don't know. Okay. Well, what if instead of 10 months, I had 10 weeks? Or what if instead of 10 weeks, I had 10 days? What if instead of 10 days, I had 10 minutes? What if I only had 10 minutes? As I consider the absurdity of these questions, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wonder, as I considered the end point of it being too late, it's over, do I feel more panicked or do I feel relieved? Do I feel relief at the thought of there being an end point, even if it doesn't mean I got everything done? As I consider where my point of relief might exist, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wonder, is it plausible for me to be resolved of all of my responsibilities? No, probably not ever. I mean, I will always have some responsibilities, if to nobody else, at least to myself, right? I have goals, I have ideas, I have daily living tasks. So if it's not plausible for me to feel relief after all of my responsibilities are done, when do I get to feel relief? When do I get to relax? When do I get to let go and feel peaceful? When do I get to feel ready? When do I get to feel excited? When do I get to feel on top of things? When do I get to feel like I've got this? As I consider the timing of getting to feel good and well, and how that is applied with my responsibilities, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wonder, where did I learn that those two things don't coincide? Who taught me that working on things, trying to start new things, having a lot to do, having a lot of responsibility has to equal anxiety, overload, fear, failure, intensity, and other words that I could apply? When in my life did I discover this rule? I wonder, how old was I when I accepted that these were the terms of having a lot of responsibility? As I consider my age at which I agreed to the rule that a lot of responsibility equals a lot of stress and pressure and all those other words, I wonder what else was a rule for me at that age? I mean, I was probably pretty young. Did I have rules about how I couldn't go certain places by myself? Were there rules about household rules, going to school, finishing homework? Were there liberties that I did not have access to, like driving or making decisions on my own? Or did I still have someone who could tell me that that was not how it was going to happen? And I had to listen because they were the adult and I was not. As I consider all of the rules that I had at the time that I accepted this rule, I deeply and completely accept myself. And I wonder, well, do I still keep all of those rules? Yes. No. I don't know. What a silly question. I mean, of course not. Rules are different when you're a child and when you're an adult. Things change and rules change with circumstances. That makes sense. Oh, oh, well, if rules change with circumstances, then why didn't this rule change? I wonder. As I consider the possibility of my rules surrounding responsibility are outdated, I hold space to discover what I can do about that. Okay. Well, I already know I can't change the fact that I have responsibilities. That's a given. There are things I need to follow through on. But maybe, I mean, what if, just possibly, I allowed myself to feel different about it? What? No, I can't feel different about it. Can I? I mean, what would be different? I mean, if I told myself I was doing a good job, wouldn't I quit? If I told myself I didn't need to be stressed, wouldn't I not try as hard? Hmm. As I consider these statements, and I have heard them before, I give myself permission to question their validity because I can think about when I have done something, a physical something, and I was scared, or I was doing it out of duty, or I got, engaged in some sort of physical movement because I was angry. How much easier, how much more energy have I had when I do it and it's fun? Going dancing all night, or going and walking around a theme park with friends or my family. When I allow myself permission for it to be positive, for my environment to be good, isn't it true that things get done and I get to feel safer in my body? I get to feel safer about what I'm trying to do. And maybe I will make it. I'll make it happen. I'll make everything happen and it'll just end up perfect. And maybe it won't. Maybe things are still going to fall apart. Maybe things still won't get done in time. But doesn't that mean the difference of the outcome is something that I have complete control over? So what if I allowed myself, even if I don't know how yet, not trying to figure out how, just giving permission that I can feel safe, even if everything that's happening around me, and I've got to get up and I've got to still do my business. I've still got to go do my responsibilities. And it's hard and I may not feel motivated, but that doesn't really sound like an environment where I also need to layer in anxiety. It's okay for me to have feelings, but doesn't that mean I can have all of my feelings? I wonder if I were truly able, if I could really give myself permission to receive positive emotion that I need, something that I really know that I need right now, that would really help, would really feel so much better if it existed along with all of this other stuff. What would that be? What word would I use for it? And go ahead and think of a word. And it could be identifying an emotion like happiness. It could be identifying a concept like peace or safety. It could just be a descriptive word like hug or uh, soft release, relief. But grab a word. You can always change it later. So don't worry about it being the perfect word. Just grab a word that's good for now. I'm going to use the word relief. What if I did give myself permission to feel relief right now without having to accomplish anything or figure anything out? If I can feel anxiety and I can give myself permission to feel fear and all of these other feelings about what's happening, can't I also give myself permission to feel relief? And maybe I can justify it and say, well, but I'm trying, I'm here. And I can point out positive things like I have support or I have ideas or there are possibilities that are coming. Or I could just, you know what, body, you know what, mind, how about some relief because you're doing your best? And maybe this will help. And it doesn't mean that I've got it all figured out. It doesn't mean that I get to set something down that I really, really want to, but I may not be able to. It simply means I accept and I receive my own ability to gift myself this relief. Relief. Relief in my body. relief in my mind, relief and responsibility, relief and so many thoughts. And as I give myself permission, this first step of trying something supportive without making it have to prove itself in any way first. I also give myself permission to immediately feel the benefits of it. Because isn't it true that any amount of relief or support that I can get right now, it's going to help me succeed in all of the ways that I'm reaching for. And that's best for everybody. My responsibility, my relief, my relief now. And as I receive this and take it with me, I deeply and completely accept myself. Okay, pause tapping and take a breath. Now, just think for a moment when you say my responsibility or I'm responsible, and feel how that hits in your body. Feel how you respond to that and notice, is it the same or is it a little bit less than when we first